buyer leads are also seller leads because everybody's trying to buy a house, or most people who are trying to buy a house are also trying to sell a house. And so you can also focus on the buyer leads.
Excellent. Welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon to lab coat agents, to those that are on the call here as well. We have an exciting conversation that's going to be happening today with CINC. We're going to focus on Google and Facebook advertising and what the current market looks like and how the NRA settlement is going to affect that lead generation. And we have two of our great guests here, Dan Lott and Harry Kerbo from CINC, and they are going to walk us through what this state of the market looks like and how things are going to be progressing as far as Google and Facebook advertising goes. So I'm going to kick it off and turn it over to you guys, Dan and Harry. You guys have a deck you guys want to walk through, and looking forward to kind of hearing what you guys have to share with us today.
Fantastic. Thanks, Trenton. I'm Dan Lott, and I'm with joined by Harry Kerbo here. And so let's get this going, Harry. Press that button. All right. So this is what we're going to talk about: is the current state of real estate ads, how NAR is going to impact this, and how you should structure your ad spend moving forward, just in light of the NAR decision, and just in general with our best practices that we've been around for 12 years. We have some best practices. So we're going to share those with you. All right. First quarter real estate lead generation in Google. It was a good quarter. All right. So some of the things I've done presentations on this, how the one of the things that impacts the cost per lead is just generally the amount of people who type in the phrase homes for sale in Google. And usually when it goes up, it's when the number of searches goes up, the cost per lead goes down. So however, right now the number of searches for homes for sale, it's trending down. And the other factor we look at too is the actual number of home sales that have happened. They're trending up for the first quarter. And then we are happy to report that CINC's buyer cost per lead improved for the last 2 quarters. And specifically last quarter, and this is the first improvement since the pandemic. And specifically last quarter, our the cost per lead went down 5%, which is a pretty big improvement. So
Well, that's interesting.
yes, we're really happy. And one thing is that Harry put this in, which I like, is the real estate industry average cost per lead. It worsened by 40% in 2023. When the cost per lead worsens, that means it goes up. And so we were able to, our cost per lead year over year is higher, or I'm sorry, our cost per lead is lower, but industry wide it's 40% higher. So we're doing something to outpace the market. And so we saw the report. It was very exciting. All right, here we go. Just Google leads in general, they're on pace with how it was before the pandemic. We're roughly equivalent. And so, Trenton, this, during the pandemic, the cost really plummeted because everybody was stuck in their house, and all they did was register for real estate lead generation sites. But after that happened, the cost per lead started to inch up, and now we are right about where we were prior to the pandemic. So the recovery. So and this is what our cost per lead is. Last quarter it was $6.04 was our cost per lead for Google, which is a good cost per lead. All right.
Well, and I think another thing that's important too to talk about when you talk about the pandemic pricing is the drop in competition as well from advertisers. So, I think like the NAR settlement, there's some similarities there where, maybe it's not advertisers dropping out, but maybe it's the difference in what they're spending on that leads to a drop in cost per lead and more leads in general. So I like driving the PowerPoint. I can just stop whenever I want to say something. I'm the captain now, Dan.
All right. And so, all right. So after the pandemic was what cost was very low. It gradually increased. Now it is going down again, and this is exciting. Last quarter, or fourth quarter of 2023, we beat the preceding year, which is very exciting. When going to that 40%, how the market as a whole was up 40%, we were down, and then last quarter we were down by like 5% year over year, which when you're dealing with the amount, like we spend a lot of money and that we generate a lot of leads, so just any sort of increase or decrease is very significant. And then you all know about NAR. And so I think the impact may be on lead generation specifically. It may be over presented a little bit, but all right. So the demand, what we think is going to happen is the demand for seller leads is going to increase, which will cause the lead cost to increase because you're going to have more competitors out there trying to get seller leads. And so but we don't anticipate there's going to be more money. It's going to be a shift from people trying to get buyer leads to seller leads. And one of the things that CINC one of the things that we have found at CINC, which is very logical, is that buyer leads are also seller leads because everybody's trying to buy a house, or most people who are trying to buy a house are also trying to sell a house. And so you can also focus on buyer leads.
We've noticed that as well. A lot of our agents are asking to transition over to seller leads. And we try to remind them that, about 30 to 40 to 50% of those, if you position yourself to go for buyer leads, those are also sellers. Most of them have homes already too. And so that could help offset some of those costs if you're so concerned about trying to just get sellers. And that way you could also kind of get both, really, or at least both sides of the transaction there. So for those on the call, don't just think that you have to go for seller leads just because of the market that we're in. Because in the nature of it, a lot of those the buyers are actually sellers as well.
That's really interesting that you said around 50%, because that's what we saw from our registration in 2023. So yeah, that point is very valid.
So yes, so most people who have who are selling a house or buying a house are also selling a house. They indicated they own a house at sign up. Moving on. And then an important thing is seller leads are more expensive than buyer leads. They are 2 to 3 times more expensive than buyer leads. So if you put those together, the fact that seller leads are more expensive, like 2 to 3 times, if you're looking at around $6 for a buyer lead, you're looking at maybe $15 for a seller lead. The fact that half of your buyer leads are also seller leads makes those a better investment. You're getting a buyer 100% buyer leads, but then you're also getting 50% seller leads. So and if there is a shift to more people just going, okay, I'm going to get more seller leads, that's going to cause that $15 to increase beyond that. And so the 2 to 3 might become 3 to 4.
Exactly.
When at the same Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Trenton.
I was going to say, I'm curious for those in the audience right now. Are you guys generating buyer leads or seller leads? What is your guys' focus in the chat? So just drop it in the chat and just let us know. Buyers or sellers is what you're going for right now.
Yeah, and I was going to say too, that 54% from last year was at sign up, right? So that's when they're coming through the sign up form. Also within the CRM, within whatever nurture program you're using, there are ways to try and get those people to convert to seller leads down the road as well. And so, that number will only go up as those people are being nurtured by your whatever you're using to nurture your leads.
Looks like a good mixture of buyers, sellers, and both. Looks like some are transitioning to focusing more on buyer leads in the second quarter. So it's a nice little shift here that I'm seeing.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting to see those chats. Yeah, so a diversified buyer campaign, it keeps the cost low. Diversified, and we've been focusing on Google, but it's also social. Having if Harry would have put his chart on there showing the cost per lead for Facebook, it is approximately 40% lower than the buyer cost per lead. So it's the social has a lower cost per lead, Facebook, Instagram. And then with the advertiser shifting spend to seller lead generation, that should improve the cost per lead for buyer, and especially the gap, the cost per lead for buyer relative to seller especially will improve.
What if you continue to receive 54% of your buyer leads that are sellers and the cost per lead goes down? You're actually getting even more leads by focusing on buyers and finding the sellers within there.
Yeah, definitely a better ROI up front as far as what you're looking.
Sorry, I tried to mute myself, but I didn't make it. So yeah, so thanks, Dan. And so, we've using this data, and I think this is one of, the most important things when we talk about CINC is, we have all this data from end to end. When we look at, we're able to see the lead from generation to conversion and what that path looks like. And so we've always felt that lead generation was a numbers game. And social has always had a lower cost per lead compared to search. But there's always been a lot of pushback, or not a lot, but more pushback about advertising on social versus search. And a lot of that comes from the way that people find those ads, I think, right? So, search, it's a very active kind of participant. Social, you're on Facebook, Instagram, watching a reel, whatever it might be, and you find something that piques your interest. So, when we make these recommendations, we don't make them lightly. We just recently have completed, and I mean, it's still going, but we've put our first kind of draft out of a 5-year cohort analysis of leads by source. And one of the things that we saw, which really kind of led us to promote social to clients as, a viable lead option, is that we saw that leads from social might take longer to convert, but within 1 to 2 years of registration, those two actually convert at about the same rate. So just pulling some stats from this analysis, looking at 2023, we saw that leads from social were 33% more likely to convert to appointment set. Social leads were moved to the appointment met, which is a pipeline stage within our CRM, at the same rate of search in 2023. And then over the past 3 years, 2021, 2022, 2023, these leads have actually converted to sold at the same rate. And there's a lot of enhancements that we've made on the social side, I think, that has driven this. But I think too, a lot of it is, just this access to information to see that, while social leads do convert, they convert at a different time frame and in a different way. If you guys want to watch the recording of that, we have that on the CINC Pro blog, cincpro.com/blog. Alvaro goes into all the details there. But okay, right? So we've established that social leads convert. So why do we still get pushback, right? Why do people still say they suck? So I thought this was really, really interesting. We followed the results of a 60-day follow-up cadence with a third party over a 6-month period, just looking at CINC generated leads. And so what we saw, that leads from social, when they were being followed up correctly and routinely, were actually 104% more likely to convert to an appointment than a lead from search. So this was kind of mind-boggling to me, right? I always want to say mind-boggling. I watch Anchorman too much. Is that Anchorman? I think it's Anchorman. Anyway, but this was kind of mind-boggling to me, right? So why did we still get pushback? Why were people still more interested in the search side? This was very interesting, is that the leads that were coming from social were also about 2 times more likely to be classified as a lead or an agent reject, which that just means that for whatever reason, the lead said, I don't want to work with you anymore, or the agent, this price point is too low, it's unrealistic, whatever it may be. So, I thought that that was really interesting. Like, yes, you will, and we still see this in the numbers today. You will get increased appointments or a higher percentage of appointments from your leads from social, but you're also going to get more leads that are going to tell you to screw off. I don't know who you are. Why are you calling me? I've never been to your website. And so, I think that I understand that negative hit, right? Of I've been calling these leads, you're less likely to remember the 3 or 4 appointments you set, and more likely to remember the 10 to 20 people who said, I've never heard of you, don't call me ever again, right? So I thought that was really interesting. And then also, like we talked about, social leads do just take more nurture, but the data that we have shows that conversion catches up towards the end of year 1, and then in years 1 to 2, they're basically the same. So, with a lower cost per lead on the social side, you could see a higher return over time by including those leads. And that's really the main reason. It's diversification is just a wise strategy in general. Years ago, Facebook was getting sued every 3 days. You never know what could change on those networks. So having those multiple pillars is smart. And it's just the best way to efficiently spend your money and promote things like your listings, Google advertisements, cast the widest net possible.
That's really interesting. Because you have a lower cost per lead, maybe less likely to, have that many more that move forward, but also the fact of you're paying less for it and you're getting more. So in theory, it should work out a little bit better. And plus, if you're thinking about 1 to 2 years, especially during that 2021, 2022 time of people when they're visiting a website, taking a look just to understand the market. Now you had 2023 to where the mortgage rates were pretty high. Now that they're coming down, you really have to think that all these leads that are in your database right now have a really high chance of converting here in the next year. So even though they were an old, I just had a call yesterday about, teaching about how to re-engage dead leads. And I think that's why it's so important to make sure that we're focusing on who's coming to our website and how to get them to come back as well. And so again, back to the audience here, I'm curious for those in attendance, are you guys focused on Google pay-per-click or are you guys focused on Facebook leads? And I'm curious as what that structure might be there. And I'm hoping that people are gonna, be transitioning more towards the Facebook leads, but love to hear it in the chat what you guys are doing. So we got some Facebook leads, Google local service ads, both. Want to focus more on pay-per-click. So I just think that's kind of interesting, being with the stats that you're showing really shows that, maybe we don't want to spend that 15, 20, $25 for that Google pay-per-click when we can spend, 6, 7, 8, 9, $10 on the Facebook leads and get double the amount of leads and have almost the same, percentage wise and moving them towards, the appointment set. And in fact, with your stats there, it looked like it was more towards the social Facebook, Instagram leads.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was good to see. And somebody put the local service ads on there. I don't know, Trenton, if you used those before, but we also offer those, and those are really tricky in that they perform really well if you're able to get traffic. And so we have somebody who's dedicated to getting people. There's a lot of hoops you have to go to, and you get but the thing, you're able to dispute the leads, which allows you, if you go through and you'll dispute it and get your money back. So, but it's getting it's getting traffic. It's that's a very frustrating ad type because it works really well, but it's like people call up, it's like, I want more leads, I want to spend more money, and then we physically cannot spend this money on your behalf. And you have to get more reviews. It's like you constantly have to get Google reviews, which is just in general, it's a good idea. But yeah, so I like the local services, and just on diversification. It's good to see like people are saying like, yeah, I'm doing both, and it's like, because you never, there's seasonality with everything, and Google takes a longer time to ramp up. It's usually like around a month before you're at full, your full throttle on your Google. Facebook is 100% right out of the gates, and so it's good to, if somebody's struggling for the first couple weeks, they're getting all these Facebook leads, and then once Google's grown great, then you have a good mix. So that's why we suggest that.
Yeah, and that's the goal, right? Like for us, we always say we don't have customers, we have clients. So our goal is that, we're setting you up for success, not just 3 months from now, but 24, 36 months from now. And then once that pipeline matures, that's when you're really rolling, and doing well. Yeah, and so my last slide. So I mean, we've got time for questions or whatever. I'll leave if you guys want me to. You just tell me what to do. But this is always a quote that's stuck in my head. I think it's Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know. But he said social is the flyer that's announcing the sale at the dealership, right? Like that's where you're catching those early end buyers, that early end interest in developing that relationship. Search advertising is the showroom floor, right? Like if I want to buy something, I'm not going to go on social and just scroll mindlessly until an ad pops up. I'm going to go to Google and do that search. But social is also a very effective avenue. That's why we recommend people put the majority on search, just to get those showroom floor buyers. But social is also an effective avenue. So again, when you're 6, 12, 18 months in, you're really seeing the results. So that's the end of our deck.
No, excellent. I think this was great to see some of these statistics. Great to see an understanding of the potential of Facebook and Instagram ads because of how you kind of mentioned before that people are saying that they kind of suck. Well, understanding that this is a long-term play, not something that you should always expect within the first 3 months of seeing results, but you should start to see 6 to 9, 6 to 12 months, maybe 12 plus months. After you start to nurture them, re-engage with them, start to offer other opportunities to come back to your site, such as a blog article, such as your newsletter, such as social posts, things like that. But I would like to kind of venture over to an area that's buzzing with potential here, is with the impact of new technology such as AI and how that's being used with Google and Facebook ads. Can you guys shed some light on how these technological advancements are influencing real estate advertising strategies?
Well, on the search side, it's not really impacting it yet. And I always, I think we talked, we had a meeting, we had a webinar a few months ago, and I was like, yeah, I don't think it's gonna have any impact at all. But I think it is, just because there's going to be options that are not, there's going to be different search options out there, which is going to reduce the traffic to Google, which is then going to cause Google's cost per lead to increase. Just supply and demand. That's where I would see. So it's going to cause, especially at the beginning, it's going to cause um you're going to have to be more flexible in your advertising spend. Like these other AI providers are going to provide a different advertising option, and you're going to have to be able to get in there, dive in there, and test some stuff out to see what works for you. But I know Google is actively trying to incorporate AI. They're doing it a lot on the just on the behind the scenes with your advertising. They're using AI and things like that with mixed results. So that's what they're doing, a lot of focus. But then they're also doing it with the AI generated advertising, or ad results and things like that. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the search side. There is going to be an impact. It's not huge now, but it will be, and it's just going to cause more confusion, and that's why you need a steady hand like CINC, which is one of the largest advertisers in real estate, to guide your spend, at least on the search side. Harry, what's your thoughts on social?
Yeah, it's similar on the social side. I mean, I don't know if you guys are working in Facebook ads manager, business manager now, but there's a tremendous amount of suggested AI options and that kind of stuff that you can use. I mean, how effective will they be? I don't know. Something will be, right? And Dan, I think what you're saying makes sense about there will be there's always other providers coming up that are trying to kind of take down the stranglehold that I guess Alphabet and Meta, or Google and Meta, have on the advertising industry as a whole. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Um, we use AI for some generative purposes for like creating ads, that kind of stuff, images. I think there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes, like Dan said, a lot of false positives that are happening now with ads getting denied and things like that, which is fun. So yeah, I think that'll just be really interesting. I know when you talk about AI, one way that we've kind of incorporated that, and I think have improved our services, is with a newer version of our AI that's been released for messaging for clients. So better communications, better opt-out rates, all that kind of stuff. Basically just kind of tailoring more to what that person is saying. And every message being sent out is individualized now, which helps deliverability and spam reports and that kind of stuff. So, I don't know how impactful it'll be to like Facebook as a whole. There's stuff going on in the background. I don't know what that'll look like, but I do think, the implications of it in like downstream, how we interact with leads and how we convert leads, I think that's where it'll be more prevalent myself.
Excellent. So I'm going to shift just a little bit, going from we've generated leads, talking about how the structure of those are kind of working. Now that we have them in our system and we're, communicating with them, do you guys offer such like a retargeting type of campaign so that way they continue to be re-engaged with?
So we have a couple of different remarketing options. One is a branded remarketing option, or brand advertising, which is your traditional kind of someone visits your site, they're followed around with your face, your tagline. The goal of that is to familiarize people with you when you follow up with them. Oh, you're that person that's been following me around on Google for 6 months? Yes, that's me. And then we have a dynamic property advertising type, or remarketing type, that we call Listcast. If you guys are familiar with DARE, Dynamic Ads for Real Estate, or now they're just called Facebook Real Estate Ads, that's the framework that is built on. So that'll actually take into account what that person is seeing on your site, the characteristics of the homes they're looking for, and then show properties based on that. So we definitely utilize remarketing once we're able to get those leads in the door.
Which will be great for staying in front of them, especially if, they were someone that came in, last year or the year before. And just to, for everybody in attendance, just don't ever forget about those leads that may not have done anything in the past, because at one point in time they did express interest. And then you have to think of when they were expressing interest, as far as, what the market was like at that time and how things have changed progressively since then. So always keep that in mind, and how you can definitely, try to re-engage those. And then with the services of CINC, obviously having that retargeting, they have their, the AI that's following up with the leads as well, making sure that you have, the correct smart plans in place, as far as that 60-day campaign looks like. So all those combined will help you be able to convert these leads. And just know that you probably can't just do it with one of those pieces. You really need to make sure that you have, a cohesive unit there that's going to be following up.
And that's
Um,
and that's a good thing in that, like, if you're with CINC or with another CRM company, the property alert emails, and you're just tracking like somebody who registered 2 years ago but is still on a drip campaign where they get property alerts, and if they click on one of those properties 2 years later, it's like, oh, maybe this guy's actually thinking of going ahead and buying, and like give him a call or get him, the AI will kick in. There's with text messaging. So there's a lot of as he said, don't forget about these old leads. They buy houses, and we always hear about, now that we've been around for 12 years, it's like, oh yeah, this guy registered 10 years ago and now he finally bought a house. It's like, yeah, it happens. It really does.
But
Excellent.
I think your point, Trenton, sorry, I'll be real quick. I know we're right up, but I think your point about the pin-up demand is a really good one, right? And people have been waiting to see like what's going to happen with the mortgage rates. So I agree with you. I think, once things kind of smooth out, we will see a big increase in the conversion. So yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I just wanted to delay the end of the webinar to say that. So
That's all good. Well, I want to say thank you guys for those in attendance. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Dan and Harry, thank you both from CINC. You guys shared some great and valuable insights here. And I hope everybody found this webinar informative and enlightening as I did. I love seeing some of those statistics as far as how Facebook lead ads were, kind of outperforming Google pay-per-click and at a better price point as well. So just keep in mind that as you guys try to plan out your your strategies here in the next quarter to 6 months here. But thank you guys for having us here, and looking forward to our next talk that we guys have with you guys.
This is great. Thanks, Trenton.
yeah,
No
thank
problem.
you very much. And thank you, everybody. This was really fun. So appreciate it.
All right, have a great day, guys.
Have a great day.